Wilder Show podcast. Ooh, is this the last one of the year?
It is.
Okay, I'm Scott. That's Lauren.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Okay, we'll talk about holidays and all that in a second. Instagram, search Instagram, or on Instagram, search Wilder Show Pod, and you'll find us and you'll like us, and we appreciate that. If you want to send us email, just email to podcast@wildershow.com. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, even on holidays, at 6 a.m. Central Time or before on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and iHeart, Amazon, YouTube. Wherever you get your podcasts, please like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share. We're also on the TikTok now and again. We might even in Scattershoot, Lauren, do a little, a little maybe year in review of some of the little snippets we've had on TikTok.
Oh, cool.
Mainly just to eat up the time because it's holiday, we don't have much.
Speak for yourself. I got all kinds of stuff.
I have no doubt. Real quick, how was the Christmas and all of that, all the things? Give me the 60-second or 48-second download. How was it?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah?
Warm until it was cold.
True.
So warm. Good. Had 2/3 of my kids here and other family here too. So it was we had lots of time to just hang out and relax and spend time together, which was lovely.
Yeah.
I spent a fair amount of time complaining about the heat until it got cold, and then I just switched modes to complaining about the cold. I didn't too much. I tried to remind myself in the middle of it. Did I say that I was never going to complain about the heat again because I don't like the cold? Or did I say I was never going to complain about the cold again because I don't like the heat?
Yeah.
And I think it was the latter. I think several years ago I said I'm never going to complain about the cold again because the heat is just, it's too much.
Unbearable.
It's oppressive and it lasts too long. And but that occurred to me after I had already complained a little bit about the cold. So I'm taking a lock, and I won't do that anymore for the rest of the winter.
In my dad's spirit, he would say to you, if you didn't have something to complain about, you'd complain about having nothing to complain about. He had a way of making it all make sense really easily. Well, that's good. You had a good holiday. Yeah,
I did. How about you?
Good. It was good. Big family. When you say 2/3 of your kids, you mean 2 out of 3, not 2/3 of each of them.
No. Yes. They're 3 kids.
2 out of 3, yeah.
And had 2 of my 3 kids and 1 of the in-laws.
That's nice.
So three. I had three kids home for Christmas and other family members too, and it was it was lovely.
We had my first Christmas with John West, my grandson.
So fun.
Who is a real chunk. And I'm not one of those granddads who says he's going to be a linebacker. I mean, I'm not like that. But he is heavy. I mean, he's 20. He is. He's 26 pounds. And he's right at 11 months, little over 10 months, almost 11 months.
Is that, I've forgotten.
That's 100%, 100% percentile.
Oh, wow.
He's 100%.
Okay.
I mean, literally 100%, more than 100% percentile. When he's on your knee, it is like balancing a 25-pound bowling ball on your lap. But it was great. It was great. Lots of family time, and time is the great commodity.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, the most important thing. Christmas presents, not Christmas presents. And so it was great. It was really good. It's always good. It's always good. Just looking forward to another year and hopefully do it all again at the end of this next year. Things to get into today. China and Taiwan. I got to say just a word about that in a second. Trump and Putin and Zelensky. A word about that in a second. But first I want to start with Nigeria. There was on Christmas Day a Nigeria bombing and missiles that we struck terrorist groups, ISIS training camps in Nigeria. And if you watched it at all or heard about it, I know a lot of people didn't because it's a holiday and you'd check out. But for those who did, you saw that they talked about it was a missile strike along the Niger border.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, I've been to Nigeria twice and Niger once.
I do.
And whenever I've talked about Nigeria and the things that are going on there, the persecution of Christians, the murdering of Christians, the violence between Christians and Muslims there, certainly Muslims also die in these skirmishes or these battles. But I've talked about how the bottom third of the country of Nigeria is largely Christian, and the upper third is largely, almost completely Muslim. And that is that which borders Niger. Niger is north of Nigeria. And then the middle third is where a lot of the violence goes on. So the fight over Middle-earth, hat tip to J.R.R. Tolkien, the battle over Middle-earth there in Nigeria. And that's where so much of the massacres and things that are going on that you see in the news against Christians and others, but against Christians, that's where that takes place, is right there in the middle. So you say, well, why did the missiles strike the north? Mm-hmm. And it's because that's where some of the training camps are. That's where some of the training goes on, that then those people go down and they do their mayhem there in the middle of the country. The last time I was in Africa, I was in Niger, and I'm not going to detail the whole story. We couldn't fly back from the eastern part of Niger back to Niamey, the capital, where I had to leave from there and then fly back to the United States. We couldn't fly back. And the reason was because of sandstorms. You got to know that like 80% of Niger is in the Sahara Desert. So when there are the massive winds that come down and there are sandstorms, you simply can't take a flight. And so our flight was canceled, but I had to get back. And they said, well, the only way to take you back is by Jeep. It's a 10.5-hour ride on this Jeep. And we can't really take you in the Jeep. And I said, why? And he said, because you're white.
Man.
And because that is right along the road,
yeah,
right along the border with Nigeria. And that's where Boko Haram, ISIS training camps are taking place. That is a kidnap zone. And we can't take you that way, in that way. Now, we ended up doing it anyway. And it was a 10.5-hour ride, and it was right along that. But we're 1 click or 1 kilometer just north of Nigeria. That is precisely where those missile strikes were.
Oh, my.
That's something. Now, it's a little bit complicated because you might say, well, wait a minute. Did you really? Isn't it true that more than just Christians are being, subject to violence? Yes, the answer is yes. Aren't Muslims also? Yes, the answer is yes. Are you getting the actual places where the people that are persecuting Christians? Because that's what Trump had said. What President Trump had said was, as long as you're massacring Christians, we're going to take you on. Mm-hmm. And they did. And the answer is yes. It's true that takes place further south than where that missile strike occurred, but it is where all that training is going on. It was very heavily Muslim area of the country. Now, let me also quickly say, and this is all we'll say about it, when you see this story on Christmas Day, or probably the day after Christmas, if you were paying attention to the news, you might have said, wait a minute, so Trump is again invading another country? He's firing missiles from naval ships all the way into another country? And the answer is yes. But let me tell you something else that's pretty important. He did that after consultation with the Nigerian government. Mm-hmm. The Nigerian government said, thumbs up. That's true. The Nigerian government might have said, look, he's going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure he gets some of the stuff that's important to us too. So let's consult with him. They're his missiles. They're America's missiles. The United States is going to pay for this. Let's make sure that it's something that also benefits us in some way. So all that to say that did take place, but I bring it up only because it took place almost precisely within miles of where I personally was, with the people and against the people, that I was warned, this is why we can't travel with you in a Jeep.
That's crazy.
Taiwan and China. Exercises going on right now. Taiwan and China, this is a big deal. Most people understand that China has its eyes on Taiwan. And Taiwan, just as education, Taiwan is a democracy. Taiwan is a friend of the United States. Taiwan also happens to be where so many of the microchips are made that we use in virtually all of our devices. So there is a national security element to Taiwan. If we didn't want to stand up for Taiwan because they're a democracy, which we should want to do that, if we didn't want to do it for that reason, there is an economic reason and a national security reason for wanting to stand up for Taiwan. Well, the exercise is going on right now. So you have China doing war games. China, a military, announcing this week, yesterday, it is mobilizing Army, Navy, air, rocket units around Taiwan for, quote, major military drills. Now, what are they really doing? They're saber rattling. That's what they're doing. And who knows what they're ultimately going to do, if anything. But like going back, I believe, decades to what they did with Hong Kong, they saw Hong Kong as theirs. And so they reached out and made Hong Kong theirs again. And there was a saying when I was in China and was in Hong Kong years ago, and it was this: 50 years, one country, two systems.
I remember that.
And what they meant was basically we let a whole generation die before we're going to implement sort of our harsh ways of.
Before we really take over.
That's right. So we're going to, now it didn't take 50 years. They didn't wait 50 years. They wouldn't wait 50 years with Taiwan, but they have their designs on Taiwan. And it all sort of goes back to a George W. Bush day when there was a Taiwan dust up with China, and the president at the time, George W. Bush, said, "It is the policy of the United States to stand with democracies around the world, and among those, Taiwan." And we were on the radio at the time, and I remember saying, that is significant in a way I think most people don't understand, that when a president, any president, says, it is the policy of the United States, they are setting a policy that is the policy in perpetuity unless it is changed by a subsequent president. Now, that has not been changed since those days when it was George W. Bush. And so it is still the policy of the United States to stand with democracies, including Taiwan.
Right.
I think that China is looking at what is happening with Zelensky. We'll get to that in a minute. With Russia and Zelensky, and Russia and Ukraine, Putin and Zelensky, Russia and Ukraine, and wondering, can we also just do what we want to do? People who didn't like Joe Biden, and they are legion, we are legion, didn't like the policies of the Joe Biden administration, looked and said, they see us as weak. And that hurts us, the United States, when it comes to what China might do regarding Taiwan. We had hoped, and we do still hope, that they will see the current president or the current administration, if not the president specifically, as more aggressive and would not abide that. But what happens with Putin and Zelensky and Russia and Ukraine impacts beyond Russia, Ukraine, the United States. And today, it impacts China and Taiwan and the United States and tomorrow. And so we'll certainly be watching that. The Zelensky thing and the Putin thing, let me just say quickly, Vladimir Putin is a liar. No matter what he says, he's not going to live up to it, no matter what he says. And the talk now is that the United States is going to guarantee Ukraine's safety for 15 years. So for 12 years, for 3 presidencies past the time that Donald Trump is president. A little bit weird. Basically, it's a workaround to them being part of NATO. Okay. Right? I mean, if they're part of NATO, you have the whole thing of an attack on one NATO country is an attack on all NATO countries. And so all of NATO will rise up if any one NATO country is attacked. And Russia said, we don't want Ukraine to be part of NATO. And so this is a workaround. Okay, so NATO won't protect Ukraine. Maybe we have a 15-year window where not NATO, but the United States will guarantee Ukraine's, which, by the way, it's almost the same thing anyway. If it was going to be NATO, it'd be largely U.S. forces and U.S. armament that would take care of it anyway. But it's a little bit weird, and it won't work. Long term, it's not going to work.
Is the fact that it would be, that this would cover, like you said, perhaps 3 presidents into the future, can you guarantee what those presidents will decide about this on their own?
That is actually the question. Now, you could argue that is one of the reasons why you'd want to be able to say, now listen, if you get Republicans would say, if you get a Democrat in there, they're going to undo this whole thing.
Yeah.
And if Russia takes over Ukraine, they're going to march right through Poland. They're going to go through all of Europe. And so we have to want to make sure we don't have, a Democrat that's elected president next time. So JD, or whoever is who we want to be president. That's one of the selling points. But I don't think it's a good idea because I don't think Vladimir Putin can be trusted. He wants all of Ukraine. He is from the old school of Russian czar mentality that says they will be remembered for the land that they took.
Right.
They'll be remembered for their conquests. That is their legacy, and that's the way he is. So, we'll see what it's going to be. But that obviously is in the news right now because Trump met with Zelensky. The weird thing is every time there's a Trump-Zelensky meeting, it's followed by a Trump-Putin phone call. I mean, it's like, I'll get through with Zelensky. Oh, Vladimir Putin is on the phone. Oh, sure, I'll be right there. In this case, it was Vladimir Putin on the phone ahead of the Zelensky meeting and Vladimir Putin on the phone after the Zelensky meeting. So it's like he sandwiches this, Yeah. I mean, Trump is known for sort of being a person who sort of agrees with the people that he talks to last. It's like somebody else tells you something, you go, okay, yeah, I 100% believe that. So this guy, you know what? I 100% believe this. He's sort of like that. And so, and I think, and I honestly, in a way that Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine, has not learned this lesson, or if he's learned it, he has not employed it. Vladimir Putin has learned it and does employ it, and that is great praise for President Trump.
Yeah.
Thanking President Trump. Make sure you thank him for all that he's done. Great praise. Remember the little dust up there where, Zelensky, Ukraine, he did not wear a suit to the White House. And he was in there. It was a whole thing. And President Trump and J.D. Vance were sort of berating him. One of the lowlights of 2025 in news was the video of them sort of, have you even said thank you? Have you said thank you? Do you know what this man has done? You remember that whole thing?
Yeah, I do.
Ugh, so cringy. Well, Putin has learned, heap praise on this guy. Thank you so much, Mr. President, for being, you're so great, you're wonderful, and all the gold and whatever whatever he likes, you talk about. And I think that's one thing that Volodymyr Zelensky doesn't care about and has not employed. So we'll see where it goes, but it's you had that weird thing where he's holding forth down there in Mar-a-Lago, and Volodymyr Zelensky comes down, and before that there's a Putin phone call, and after it's a Putin phone call, and then hold on, Benjamin Netanyahu is at the door. Oh, come on in, Bibi, and they come in and have a seat talking about the whole Gaza thing and Israel. So we'll watch it anyway. That's it's in the news today. And real quick, Nick Shirley, not a name I think you would maybe know. He is a YouTuber, and he did light up in Christmas fashion during Christmas week. He lit up X, formerly Twitter, with video reports from Minnesota alleging massive fraud in government-funded child care programs. And it has provoked responses from the FBI and J.D. Vance, the vice president, Nick Shirley, is 23, has more than 1 million YouTube subscribers. He spoke during a White House roundtable this fall for YouTubers and influencers. One of the several young independent journalists, that's in quotes, turning heads among conservatives and the Trump administration officials by going on location and quickly posting sort of, minimalist, outrage-inducing videos.
Like self-hosted,
yep.
right? I got it. Okay.
So in one scene that became viral from Minneapolis, he stands in front of a supposed quality learning center. That's what it's called, Quality Learning Center.
Mm-hmm.
And it misspells on the sign, learning.
So it's not a good sign.
Yeah, it actually calls it a Quality Leering Center.
That's even worse.
Yeah, which I think they meant it's a daycare center that can't even spell learning right. Shirley deadpans to the camera. The building appears to be abandoned at midday on a weekday. So apparently the story is that this is a fraud perpetrated by, it is alleged, the large Somali community in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sort of rewind a few years. I think you and I even talked about it, if not on the air, in the radio days, off the air, in real life, or as I call it, Lauren, IRL. The crazy number of Somalians or Somali people that had all sort of descended on Minneapolis.
Yeah, that's probably not that unusual, right? I mean, if you're coming from Somalia to a foreign land, which America obviously would be, I mean, you would be drawn to a place where you
other
knew
people.
there were other Somalis, and you would have your culture and your people.
I mean, you have Little Italy, you have Chinatown, different places like that. We have even in our own area, you have sort of a whole. Maybe a Vietnamese or I don't say Oriental, can't say that, but
an Asian community.
An Asian community where they have Asian markets and all the things. That's true. But what's different about a Muslim group is that they have political aspirations, which is what we talked about before. When you had Little Italy, or when you had Chinatown, or when you had the Asian community, even here in North Texas, they haven't sort of banded together and made sure we got to get enough Asian people on the city council. We have to change the laws to be Asian friendly. We have our own way of doing things in the Asian community, and we have to make sure that the laws comport with our way of doing things. There's not a religion that is attached necessarily to the Italian community or to the Chinese community in the same way that you have that attached to a Muslim community.
Let me ask you a question, though. Does that have anything to do with this? I mean, this isn't, if this is a group of Somalis who've perpetrated this fraud on the government, that's not sanctioned by the community, right? I mean, it's not something that is being...
It's not on all of them, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not being defended by the people who are, law-abiding people.
A federal prosecutor, Joe Thompson, first assistant U.S. attorney for Minnesota, said earlier this month that $9 billion or more in federal funds that supported 14 Minnesota-run programs since 2018 may have been stolen. $9 billion, including COVID-related fraud. Somali Americans make up 82 of the 92 people,
or
89% of the defendants charged, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for Minnesota. So, no, it doesn't reflect on everybody.
Yeah.
But if you're wondering, that can be true, that it doesn't reflect on everyone. It can also at the same time be true that it is absolutely coordinated.
Sure.
And has to do with coming into a system, defrauding the system, benefiting from the system, stealing from the system, all the while trying to change the system and being motivated by something that is not in the best interest of all the people that live there.
not to blame the victim, but who's minding the store when all of this is happening? That's a lot of money to steal from the government. I mean, over a long period of time.
Who's the government? Who's the governor there? Tim Walz is the governor there.
Man,
you look at the law. You look at Minnesota. Ilhan Omar is a representative from Minnesota.
Yeah.
The first Muslim member of Congress, Ellison, was from Minnesota.
Yeah.
You have all kinds of problems in Minnesota. And a lot of it goes back to, and again, this is stuff we talked about off the air between the time we had the radio show and today, about an incredible number of people from one particular Muslim country targeting one particular city in one state in America to change it. Mm-hmm. That's what they sought to do, at least according to the first assistant U.S. attorney for Minnesota. That group, again, 89% of the defendants charged are Somali Americans, have sought to defraud the government for $9 billion or more. What does that money go to? And what is the future of a state like Minnesota? So this is one of those things where, it's a republic if we can keep it, as Benjamin Franklin once so famously said.
Right.
Oh, it is time for Scattershoot.
Let's go.
WilderShow Scattershoot. All right. This is our last Scattershoot for the year.
Yeah, it is.
Can I ask you something we talked about, I think, on the first Scattershoot of the year?
Sure.
We were talking about New Year's resolutions.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I said that I previously, I think the year previous, had a New Year's resolution that I won't share, and that it was blown as soon as I encountered another person.
Wait, so you're saying that you had this at the beginning of 2025?
No, that I said at the beginning of 2025, I wasn't going to make New Year's resolutions because the previous year, in 2024, I had one. And I was really very excited, honestly, very deeply, personally excited about it going well.
Yeah.
And within 20 minutes of encountering someone else, it was gone. And I crushed is an overstatement.
Yeah.
But I was very disappointed. And so all that to say that I didn't make, I don't think any last year, but I know that was one we talked about that you had. And that was regarding the word amazing.
I forgot about that, but I think I have a good resolution for you in light of what you just shared. Okay. You can, in 2026, you will not set yourself up for failure by making any New Year's resolutions.
There you go. I can't disappoint myself if I have no expectations.
Having totally forgotten that my resolution was to not say amazing as much. Mm. I mean, even in spite of the fact that I forgot, I think I said it less.
And now I think I used it more than you did.
Yeah.
But I think you had some sense that it became for you, I think, if I could opine, I think for you it became a crutch.
A little crutch.
Yeah. That you would say that even though it may or may not necessarily apply, but it sort of was something to say. Mm-hmm. I never found that to be the case for you. But if you felt that way, I wanted to support you in banning that word.
I appreciate that
for you, and so, but I think you did say it a few times, but I think you did. And again, I'm not with you that much, but my exposure to you is that you did quite well.
Sometimes I can, if there's a word, and I think this is the case for amazing too. Mm-hmm. It just seemed, not only was I overusing it, I felt like I was hearing it a lot too. Mm-hmm. And if I mean. Amazing. I mean, that connotes something really special, right? And
Correct.
If you say it a lot, and if everybody's saying it a lot, then are these things really amazing?
If everything's amazing.
Should I try to save it for? But what I was going to say is, I can be if there's something that I know that you think you hear too much, words that you think are crutches or words that like one. Can I say what one of them?
Sure, yeah.
It's not one word; it's two.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, we're past that now, but yes, there was a day
what
when.
Do you mean we're past
I mean, most people aren't doing that. They're on to something else.
Oh,
they're
really?
They're on to things like "this is not okay."
Yeah,
the phrases that people use all the time.
Okay, so I'm going to look at the camera for a second. So if there are things. There's no camera, but I'm looking at the audience for a minute. If you would know that these are words that bother him because he'll repeat it just sort of under his breath a little bit. Yeah. If somebody on the news says it or somebody in something else that we're listening to says it, he'll repeat it.
That's
just
true.
And I can be just by I don't want to be repeat. If I say something like that and I know it's one of those words for him, right away I catch myself because I don't want the mental eye roll that I know I would get from across the table if it's one of those words that he thinks he's hearing a lot of.
Well,
so that can be really good for me. That can help me not use overused words and phrases.
Let me say this. Caitlin Collins uses the word notable or notably or what is notable, or she'll say most notably.
Which means
or
that
is noteworthy. Now, you don't do that. I mean, but honestly,
that's just not one of my crutches.
But what I'm saying is, she will use that 3 times in 2 sentences, and it is a massive crutch. Now, it's only a crutch for people who use it. It doesn't mean the word or the phrase I use the word as well, even in those days.
Hardly
use the word.
ever.
That's true.
I think you work really hard to not say the things that you've noticed other people are saying a lot.
Let me tell you why. Because I think what you said before about amazing is true. That we are influenced by sort of those things and people around us, whether they're people we encounter in person or people we watch on television or hear on the radio or whatever. And I think that sometimes we absorb those things and then become like sponges.
We do.
We squeeze the same thing out. And so because of that, like there was a day when people used the word, what would they say? They would say, right? They would, in the middle of us saying, 10 times they would say, so when you're going down the street, right? Or they would start an answer to the question with the word so. So you might say to them, how do you get to downtown Dallas? And they would say, so you go. and because of that, I would.
Did you hear yourself doing that same thing?
Well, I would find myself slipping into it, but then I would, but I don't do it the way they would do it. It's not a crutch for me.
Yeah.
So, and so all that to say that you have special dispensation. I know that you feel that I see that and I apply the same, either literal or inside my brain eye roll to that, no matter who says it, but it's not true because I know you don't have those things. In fact, it should be. Caitlin would say it should be notable or notably. I never thought that you overused the word amazing.
Yeah.
When we talked about it a year ago, I was like, really? I don't hear you doing that much. So all that to say that you have there's a carve out. There's sort of a Lauren shaped carve out.
I don't know. I think I am so susceptible to those things. A few years ago, it was 100%. I started hearing not only younger people.
But you have to say 100%.
Sometimes 100%. It would just be it's 100%. If you needed a little more
emphasis,
gravitas, you might say 100%.
And honestly, I've used that. I think I may have used it over the Christmas holiday.
Did you really?
Yeah, maybe, but it is not a crutch for me. And
I just remember hearing people say it, and thinking, where did that come from? Why do people, all of a sudden, everybody, it was on some podcasts that I listened to, people of a certain age, probably 20s, 30s, 40s or so younger than I, and I would hear them say it, and I would do the little internal eye roll. And then, like, out of nowhere, I hear myself saying it. Sure. All the time I'm catching myself saying it.
Okay, so and all that to say, that is a long way for me to say.
Yeah.
I think you did a great job this year.
Okay, thank you.
I have a thing that I narrate in our real life and had to write it. And in writing it, I wrote the phrase, It's amazing. And I say it all the time
Well,
in that graphic,
yeah.
because the thing that I'm talking about actually is
It is amazing.
It's
Yeah.
an apt description for the thing that I'm
Right.
talking about. But yeah, people overuse things. It's crutches, but I don't find, and you know that I sort of self-monitor on these kinds of things too. When I hear myself, I've told you, off the air, I find myself saying that same thing, or whatever that word is. And so anyway, you did a great job with the word amazing, and so good for you. I think you did very well. And of course, I had no goals, and I achieved them.
Well, like I said, I think you could. One of your goals will be not to set yourself up for failure.
Mm-hmm. It's very encouraging. You
Just don't
believe.
set any goals.
Yeah. It's very encouraging. You believe the best thing for me to do, because I will fail myself, is to set no goals. It's very, very encouraging.
I was just trying to work with you.
100%.
Do you know what Quitter's Day is?
Quitter's Day.
Quitter's Day.
No, I don't.
This year, it's Friday, January 9th. That's the second Friday of January.
Oh, is that when people have already failed
when
their...
research shows that most people have abandoned their resolutions by that day. Doesn't matter what the resolution is. I want to be more active. I want to spend less time on my phone. Now, part of the reason that experts say we have such a hard time keeping those resolutions, and that so many of us have fallen off by Quitter's Day, is because they're not specific enough. You shouldn't say, maybe you don't say, I want to be more active. You might say, I want to walk
5,000 steps a day.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Or even maybe start, if you're pretty sedentary now, start, say in January, I want to walk this many steps a day. And then in February, I'd like to ramp it up to this. And then you've got goals beyond just that first goal. It's not something that you want to start doing on January 1 and just do that same thing all year. You want to ramp it up and in a healthy way. And so something a little more specific maybe can help you have a little more progress. I did something that I didn't even intend to do. First of all, have you heard of this thing called a brick? It's a device. I don't know very much about it. It was on one of my kids' Christmas lists, actually. So I did a little bit of research then, and since then I've heard other people talk about it. It's something that you use. It doesn't attach to your phone, but it connects to your phone. And on this brick, you can. There might be people who are listening who know so much more about this than I do. But you tell the brick what you want to allow your phone to do. So if, for instance, Monday through Friday, you say, I only want to use my phone for phone calls and texting these 10 people or whatever. And maybe it's just your family members or somebody that you need to be in touch with for work or something like that. But you want to maybe you want to disable all of the apps between 9 and 5 so that during your workday, you're not distracted by anything like that. So the first thing I thought of was, you can't, there is no willpower to do this. We now have, there's a company, we're in so deep that we need something to help us do what we can't do on our own.
It's a technical parent.
It is.
You can't just not do it. You have to be disallowed from doing it. I don't. Just personally, I don't think that's a great idea. I think that doesn't really solve the problem. The problem is not that I am doing these things on my phone. The problem is that I can't control what I'm doing. So it's almost like I'll come to you every morning and I'll take your phone from you. And I'll give it back to you at the end of the day.
It is kind of like that.
And then it's like, okay, well, and then you say, hey, look, I didn't text anybody all day. Yeah, but it says nothing about you. It's because I took it from you. And by the way, the people here's a better idea. How about this? If you have the brick, you don't get to be the one to decide what the phone will and won't do. Let someone else decide that for you. How about that?
Let your significant other,
there you go,
who spends half of their time watching you watch your phone. Let them decide.
So if you get the brick, I'll decide what the brick can do. And it's good, because honestly, the person who can tell the brick, be really hard on me, is a person that can tell the brick, well, but not now. This was really important.
I do. I did program my phone to do something that I knew could be done, but I'd never really spent any time trying to figure out how. And I just sort of happened upon this setting accidentally over the weekend. I only have one social media account. I don't do Facebook. I don't have X or Twitter or anything like that. But I set my phone to allow me only 30 minutes on Instagram.
Per day?
Per day.
Wow.
30 minutes per, and I just will not, I mean, now, of course, I can go into it. I can change that anytime I want. Over the weekend, lots of activity. I didn't really, I didn't have a lot of time to spend on the app anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. But on the first weekday, like yesterday, for instance, I mean, I think maybe 1:00 in the afternoon, I opened it and I got a little notification. No, it said, warning, you have 5 minutes left.
I was going to ask you, if you only allow yourself 30 minutes per day on social media for you.
Yeah.
And you've set that for yourself.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, what do you do between 7 a.m. and midnight on...
Gonna have to find something else.
on those days?
I think it'll be really good for me because by the end of the day, I will certainly have used up my 30 minutes and I won't be able to scroll in the evening. You
know, we've talked before about the different things. We work with organizations. We talked about, $1 a day. If you wanted to give $1 a day to something that is important, you would hardly even know that it's gone. I think probably over time, maybe not the first day, maybe not the first week, but when people do less of the social media stuff, they two things. I think they will be amazed. I think you will be amazed at how unimportant it actually is. It keeps you busy, but it's not because it's important. And then I think it also opens up the opportunity for things that actually are
to do
important.
So much more stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I don't even follow that many people. I shouldn't need more than 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know, but you follow a lot of dogs.
I do follow a lot of dogs. I'll miss the dogs. I have very good news for our WilderShow podcast listeners. We are safe to listen to while you're driving.
What is that?
Safe to listen to podcasts.
Oh.
It's safe to listen to the radio. Safe to listen to audiobooks while you're driving. This talks about something that I always kind of found interesting too. When we first, it all has to do with researchers have measured eye movements. It's the eye movements and how long it takes you to look from place to place while you're driving that will speak to how quickly you'll respond to cues in traffic and how safely you'll be driving. When we all got phones, before we ever had hands-free devices, but then even after we had hands-free devices, we used to spend a lot of time, I think, hearing about how unsafe it was to talk on the phone. And I kind of wondered, well, what we've been talking to other people in the car for years and years and years. What's the difference between, obviously, if I've got one hand on the phone and I'm holding the phone up to my ear, that's going to be a distraction. But with hands-free, what would the difference be? And it turns out it is distracting to just to talk to other people that you're in the car with. It is not, it's not a problem to listen to those conversations. The problem is when you're talking, and it's only by, the change in the amount of time, the eye movement is, it's fractions of a second. But the crazy thing is how quickly those fractions of seconds add up and can really have an impact on your ability to drive safely. But good news, you can listen all you want. Listen to the radio, listen to the WilderShow podcast, listen to your audiobooks, and it's safer and stop carting people around because the more you the more conversation you have in the car, the more difficult it is for you to drive safely. Unless you're just listening. If you're listening, you can't hold forth. Don't even answer questions. If you answer a question, they noticed the change.
Engagement is different.
Your engagement is different, and your eye movements are slowed down enough to impact the quality of your driving.
Interesting.
Starbucks is struggling
Really?
If you haven't noticed this already, really, really interesting part of it is they're kind of a victim of their own success.
How so?
Well, once we all started enjoying our expensive coffee in a nice place to sit down to get it, all of a sudden there's
more places.
I think I had, like I said, I had family in town over the weekend and just spent more time with the family that is in town. I think we went for coffee like 4 times. None of those times was at a Starbucks.
Really?
And we used to go to Starbucks a lot.
So, so maybe Starbucks was the place, and they came up with it. They're sort of the I Ching.
Yeah.
And then they kind of got full of themselves, and they started charging more and more and more and more. And then perhaps somebody else said, you know what, we could probably do that for less.
Yeah.
Let's do it with just this or do it with just that. Maybe it's just a freestanding drive-through, and we don't spend a lot of time or money on a fireplace and
we don't have a cafe,
music,
so we don't need anybody to clean the cafe.
Interesting.
The thing is, though, what Starbucks wants to be, and they've said this for a long time, they want to be our third place.
I know.
You've got work and you've got home and you've got Starbucks. They and as it turns out, it's hard to cater to. They have 2 distinctly different customers. They have the customer who wants to either drive through and grab it quickly, walk in and grab it quickly, or sit and set out their laptop or bring a book or bring in some friends and have some time to sit and enjoy their cup of coffee. And that has been a challenge for them to keep up with. And, when I think about that too, 2 of the places that we went for coffee over the weekend do not have, they might have a little bit of seat, like picnic table seating outside, but they don't have a cafe. That they're only trying to cater to one half of that customer base that Starbucks is having a hard time pleasing.
I think we're past those days. I do. I think we're past the days of taking your laptop and sitting in Starbucks.
You think so?
I do.
Why?
think I don't know. I just feel like that was a thing for a period of time. And there will always be people that will do that, of course. But in terms of it being enough to make it be the third place, I'm not sure that people are looking for the third place.
Well, another problem, they've closed, so they're going to close 400 stores in this next year. They closed 42 locations in New York City over the last year. And also other city locations are struggling. San Francisco, they've closed a lot of stores there. We already mentioned New York City. Los Angeles, too. You and I have noticed that there was in Seattle, when we would travel to Seattle for work, there was a downtown Starbucks that we would stop into. And all of us, it had been there for years, and all of a sudden it was gone. That's another city. Seattle is another city that has lost so much of its downtown 9 to 5 population since the pandemic, when people either moved or switched entirely to work from home, and they just didn't have the foot traffic in those downtown stores like they had before. And then also the stores that were downtown, lots of stores have been the victim of a lot of crime, and they've had to change their policies where you can't just come in and sit if you're not drinking coffee. Right. You can't come in and use the restroom if you're not purchasing something, in an effort to try to keep people,
weed them out.
Yeah, which made them sort of unpopular in some of those neighborhoods where people, they don't necessarily want to share the space with homeless people, but they also don't want their Starbucks telling people you can't come in here just to use the restroom.
All right, think about this for a second. The 3 cities we mentioned, L.A., San Francisco, and New York.
Yeah.
All very, very liberal cities.
I think Chicago was another
Chicago
one,
is
too.
another example of that. And so you have a situation where how many tent cities do you want to walk past to get to the Starbucks? See, those cities, the policies that make the place not a place obviously from a business standpoint, you have crime and this and this and this, but also just as a consumer. I don't want to walk down that street. We've done it before in Seattle.
Yeah.
You have to figure out where you're going to walk. You got to walk a different way because you don't want to go buy this certain thing. It's like, you know what? Just forget it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. So you have these places like Starbucks and even some other big businesses that have closed in these liberal cities because it's untenable.
Yeah.
The business can't survive.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, how do businesses survive? Businesses survive by the sales that are generated by the things that or the services that they sell.
Sure.
That's it. Now, if you have, because of theft, you can't have profitability no matter how much you actually sell to people, because you have people that walk out, as long as they walk out with $999 of stuff, nothing's going to happen to them. The people that work there are going to say, would you like a bag to carry all this stolen goods with you? So on top of that, you have people that, normal people who would pay for the services or the products, that go, I'm not going there. So you have these closings. So it's not a surprise to me that you'd have closings in very liberal cities, and because who would want to go there?
Right.
But I think Starbucks generally would have a challenge being the third place. It reminds me of a couple of things. Number one, Avis Rent-A-Car, right?
Mm-hmm.
We try harder. Avis said, we're okay being number two. We don't care. Hertz can be number one. We'll make a big deal out of the fact that we're number two. The other thing it reminds me of, and by the way, still going strong, Avis is a good car rental company. They don't have to be number one. You have to be a strong number two. Other thing it reminds me of is Wendy's. I've told the story before.
Oh, yes.
McDonald's, for a long time, you had McDonald's and Wendy's side by side. The McDonald's was there first, and then Wendy's would build their restaurant literally right next door.
Mm-hmm.
Not across the street, right next door. They don't share a parking lot, but other than that, it's right next door. And the way they determined how to do that, and I thought it was fascinating, was Wendy's sent researchers out, and they counted the cars that came to the McDonald's between some really obscure moments in time.
Mm-hmm.
It was something like, count the cars that come into the parking lot between 10:47 and 1:12. And if there were a certain number of cars, they could figure out, we can put a Wendy's right next door and be profitable.
There are enough customers to go around during that period of time.
Exactly.
That's wild.
So Starbucks, you were saying before, Starbucks, they count on two kinds of customers. The people that kind of drive through and then they have a third place, but it isn't your place.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of want it to be, they're trying to meet those people and also be the place where people come in and they hunker down. Other places go, you know what, we're okay being just half of that.
Yeah.
We'll take half of that. We can make money with half of that. We're not going to have the CDs
couches
and the music
and like you said,
all the
fireplaces.
Yep.
They're closing a lot of stores, but they're also renovating a lot of stores.
Mm-hmm.
They're renovating 1,000 stores. That's 10% of their company-owned U.S. locations, with chairs and couches and tables and power outlets to make people comfortable and want to stay. So they're going to do the best they can in the places where they know that people still want to come in and sit and spend some time. But it's not an easy thing to fix. It's been a tougher slog than many expected, and that was a business analyst who was looking at the Starbucks challenges.
Instagram. You can find us on Instagram, Wilder Show Pod. Wilder Show Pod. You'll search for that and you'll find it. If you want to send us email, just email to podcast@wildershow.com. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time or before, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, also on the TikTok. So like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share. And Lauren, Happy New Year and thank you.
Happy New Year to you. Thank you.
Da